The winner of the Conn Smythe Trophy, it's the captain, Sidney Crosby.
What if I told you the most brilliant mind in hockey history didn't dominate with speed, size, or flash, but with pure intelligence that left even his toughest opponents frustrated and amazed? His name is Sidney Crosby, and his genius wasn't just about scoring or winning championships. It was about seeing the game differently, slowing it down, and controlling it in a way no one else could. From the moment Crosby entered the NHL, he didn't just play hockey, he studied it, outthought it, and bent it to his will. Game after game, he left everyone wondering, how does he always seem one step ahead? How does he make the impossible look effortless? And that brings us to the question at the heart of this story. Will we ever see a player this smart again, in a league that's faster and more demanding than ever? Could another mind like Crosby's rise again, or was his brilliance a once-in-a-generation gift to the sport? Today we'll break down how Sidney Crosby's unmatched hockey IQ changed the game, the moments that proved his genius, and why finding another like him may be impossible. If you're a fan of players who didn't just play, but transformed the game, hit that subscribe button now, because by the end of this story, you'll be asking yourself, will we ever see another Crosby? Imagine a kid in Nova Scotia, not on frozen ponds or neighborhood rinks, but in a cramped basement with low ceilings, a battered net, and an old dryer as his target. That kid was Sidney Crosby. Hour after hour, he'd fire pucks, not just for power, but with purpose. Testing angles, reading bounces, studying how the puck responded. He wasn't simply practicing, he was problem solving, analyzing every detail, teaching himself the subtle art of patience. Where most kids blasted pucks as hard as they could, Crosby slowed everything down, waiting for the perfect shot. His father often found him in that basement long after bedtime, lost in his own world of self-made challenges. Even at that age, Crosby wasn't just playing hockey, he was learning to see the game in a way no one else did. By 16, while most kids were figuring out high school, Crosby was suiting up against men in the major junior leagues. He wasn't just smaller in size, he was younger by years, facing players who were stronger, faster, and far more experienced. But Crosby didn't try to match them physically. Instead, he outwitted them. Coaches in Rimouski quickly saw his unique vision and built custom drills designed to sharpen it. They forced him to wait for specific cues before acting, teaching him to stay calm under pressure, to anticipate, to think instead of react. On the ice, Crosby seemed to be playing a different game altogether. He waited for defenders to make mistakes, then struck with clinical precision. His numbers were staggering, 303 points in 121 games. But the real story wasn't the stats. It was how Crosby made seasoned players look lost while he controlled the ice like a chess master facing amateurs. When Pittsburgh called his name at the 2005 draft, Crosby wasn't just joining a team, he was inheriting a burden. The Penguins were a struggling franchise, desperate for revival, their future resting on the shoulders of an 18-year-old. Most players would have been overwhelmed. Crosby, he treated it as another puzzle to solve. He lived at the practice facility, watching endless hours of footage, dissecting goalie habits and defensive systems, figuring out exactly how long he could hold the puck before pulling the trigger. His rookie season was astonishing. 102 points, the youngest player ever to reach 100. And he didn't just put up numbers, he dictated the flow of games, controlled the ice with a mental sharpness that left veterans shaking their heads. Even opponents started asking, has the NHL ever seen a mind like this? Crosby's brilliance didn't just elevate his game, it transformed the Penguins. His patience became the team's identity. Gone were the days of chaotic rushes and hurried plays. Pittsburgh learned to slow the game down, to wait for the perfect moment, to play on Crosby's terms, and the results were undeniable. In 2009, the Penguins hoisted the Stanley Cup, with Crosby's vision and control leading the way. One play said it all. Against the Flyers, he held the puck behind their net for 15 full seconds, drawing in 3 defenders like a master tactician baiting his opponents before dishing to a wide-open teammate. It wasn't speed or brute force that won that battle. It was pure, calculated hockey intelligence. Then came a challenge no hockey IQ could fully prepare for, a brutal concussion in 2011 that sidelined Crosby at just 23. Lesser players might have rushed back, driven by ego or fear of losing their place. But Crosby stayed true to what made him great: patience. He approached recovery like he approached the game. methodically, thoughtfully, refusing to be rushed. He worked with vision specialists, retrained his brain's spatial awareness, rebuilt his game from the inside out. And when he returned, he wasn't just the same Crosby, he was smarter, more strategic, more careful about when and where to engage. His hockey mind became an even greater weapon, proving that true brilliance adapts, survives, and evolves. Before Crosby, most centers were measured by their speed, strength, or shot. After Crosby, intelligence became the gold standard. Teams started seeking players who could slow the game down, who could think a play ahead rather than simply react. The Crosby effect rippled through the league. Young stars like Nathan MacKinnon, who grew up studying Crosby's every move, didn't try to copy his highlight reel goals. They tried to copy his patience, his decision making, his uncanny ability to hold the puck when everyone else would have given it up. Crosby didn't just win games, he reshaped what it meant to be a great center in the NHL, raising the hockey IQ across the entire league. That brings us to the question that fans, players, and analysts can't stop asking: will we ever see a player as smart as Sidney Crosby again? The NHL today is faster, more system-driven, and more demanding than ever. Defenders close gaps quicker, goalies track pucks with superhuman precision, and time to make decisions has shrunk to fractions of a second. Could another player rise above the chaos, slow the game down, and control it with their mind the way Crosby did? It won't be easy. Crosby's brilliance came from more than just natural ability. It was the product of decades of preparation, from those countless hours as a kid firing pucks at a dryer to the obsessive film study he carried into the pros. His patience wasn't just something he was born with, it was shaped by discipline, curiosity, and an unshakable commitment to mastering the game's subtle details that most players overlook. Yet hockey has a way of surprising us. Every generation produces talents who redefine what we think is possible. Young stars like Connor Bedard and Matvei Michkov already show flashes of rare vision and anticipation. They may not be carbon copies of Crosby, but perhaps they'll develop their own kind of hockey genius, molded by the faster, tighter style of today's game. Still, Crosby's mind was something unique, a player who dictated the pace not through speed, but through pure hockey IQ and patience. That combination is rare, maybe once in a lifetime. Somewhere out there, a young player might be watching Crosby's highlights right now, learning the value of waiting, reading, and striking at the perfect moment. But until that player emerges, Crosby's brilliance stands as the gold standard, a level of hockey intelligence that may not be matched again for a long, long time. Sidney Crosby's brilliance wasn't just about lifting trophies or making highlight reels, though he did plenty of both. It was about how he transformed the ice into his chessboard, thinking 2, 3, even 4 moves ahead, dictating play while others chased. 3 Stanley Cups, 2 Olympic gold medals, a World Cup title, and a legacy that made patience and intelligence the ultimate weapons in hockey. Crosby showed that sometimes the smartest move is the one you don't make, at least not right away. Will we ever see a player this smart again? Maybe not, and maybe that's what makes Crosby's genius so unforgettable. If you made it this far, you see why his mind changed hockey forever. Take a second now to hit subscribe so you don't miss the next story of a legend who rewrote the game, and drop a comment. Who do you think could be the next hockey genius? I'll see you next time with another mind that made hockey history.